Ladies and gentlemen, will you please remain standing for the invocation, which will be delivered by one of our university chaplains, Father Kenan Morris. Father Morris.
Let us pray. O Lord our God, so often when we think of you, we raise our eyes to the skies. Here at Embry-Riddle, the sound of an aircraft's engines also has us raising our eyes to the skies. Today, Lord, we outdo ourselves and raise our eyes and our hearts to thank you for the skies full of planes and spaceships. You are the source of the aeronautical talents responsible for this. No matter our stage of belief or disbelief, we pause to thank you, Almighty God, for endowing us with the various talents and the consuming interest in aeronautics that we have developed along the way to this day of recognition of achievement and of celebration. We look forward to a new and steady growth as we end one era, our lives as students, and enter another era, our earning a living by using what we have learned. Help us in your Spirit, O Lord, to recognize more truly that your gifts to us, our talents, are not mere trifles for our own enjoyment, but are the tools you have placed in our hands to forge our world and the hearts of all people into the shapes of happiness. May we then show to you fitting praise and thanks by living life fully and with joy, and by loving all human beings with openness and honesty. And Lord, please hear a postscript for these graduates from those of us who stay behind. May love be ever in your heart. May joy be yours to share. And wherever your dreams lead you, may contentment find you there. Amen. And one last time, be good.
Please be seated. My name is John Pope. I'm the Dean of Academics for the Daytona Beach campus. And on behalf of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, it is my great pleasure to welcome the families and friends of the graduates, community friends, and all of our distinguished guests to perhaps the most important and the most anticipated event on our academic calendar, graduation. Now it is my distinct pleasure and privilege to introduce to you the president of our university, President Stephen Sleeman. Dr. Sleeman.
Members of the graduating class, parents, friends, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to also welcome you here this morning. And it is a great personal honor for me to introduce our commencement speaker. He is Senator E.J. Jake Garn of Utah, a man whose bold statesmanship makes all of us today the beneficiaries of his public service. During 3 terms in the United States Senate, Senator Garn demonstrated a broad, conscientious support of aviation and aerospace. He played a lead role in advocating man's destiny in air and space flight, and often reminded our government of its responsibility to support that endeavor. Senator Garn has always been comfortable close to the flight line. Throughout his life, he has been an active pilot, logging more than 10,000 flight hours while commanding both military and civilian aircraft. Today, he is a retired Brigadier General in the Utah National Guard. Senator Garn's personal commitment to endorse a vital space program was only strengthened in 1985 when he flew aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery, where as a payload specialist, he performed medical tests. In Congress, Senator Garn served 6 years as committee of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. He was also a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee and was the ranking Republican member of the Veterans Administration, Housing and Urban Development, and Independent Agency subcommittees. Before his long and distinguished run in the United States Senate, which began in 1974, Senator Garn worked as an insurance executive and also as the mayor of Salt Lake City. This January, after 18 years, Senator Garn retired from the United States Senate to return to his native Utah. Today, he serves as vice chairman of the Huntsman Chemical Corporation in Salt Lake City. He sits on the board of Dean Witter Funds and is actively involved in a number of private sector endeavors, also serving on the boards of Franklin Quest and the trustees of Intermountain Healthcare. Whether in the halls of Congress or in the private sector, Senator Garn has wielded resourceful, results-oriented leadership. A year ago, he received the coveted Wright Brothers Memorial Trophy awarded by the National Aeronautic Association. The honor recognized his lifetime of public service, including Senator Garn's active participation in all segments of U.S. aviation as a military and civilian pilot, astronaut, and as one of the U.S. Senate's most effective aerospace spokesmen and legislators. Like many of us here today, Senator Garn has been as much a dreamer of science as one of its practitioners. Time and again, he has demonstrated a pioneer's resolve to explore new ways in which policies and political support might help our civilization further realize its conquest of the heavens. His patronage has always demonstrated that aviation and aerospace as a public issue is worthy of a clear vision and is spirited by a clear voice. At this time, I am pleased to introduce you to Senator Jake Garn.
Ladies and gentlemen, it certainly is a great honor for me to be with you today at this very important occasion. I must admit that I am jealous of all of you graduates. I wish that I could start over again with all of the tremendous opportunities that lay in wait for each of you. And that statement may be somewhat of a surprise to you as you look at today's job market, as you read about the airline layoffs and the problems of many of our major air carriers. But I will tell you at the outset that that is temporary. When you have been through aviation as long as I have and have seen the cyclical nature of it and see it go up and down, it will come back. It not only will come back, it will come back and flower and blossom again. And that's really what I would like to talk to you about this morning, about the future, the incredible future that all of us face, and why I wish I were much younger and would be around a long time to experience that future myself. But in order to do that, to talk about the future, I think it's maybe important that I say some words about the past so that you can have some evidence for my optimism about what the future will be like. I had no choice but to be involved in aviation. My father was a World War I aviator, and he did not care whether I was a bum or not as long as I was a pilot. There were no other qualifications in life for me. And so I received my private pilot's license on the morning of my 16th birthday and my driver's license in the afternoon. I certainly did not want to offend my father by getting my priorities in the wrong order. And so I have been around a long time, and when I think in what I consider a relatively brief 44 years since I was 16, at the incredible changes and advances in aviation. Now today, as I look at the GPS receiver in my own aircraft, my 1948 Navion, and I look at all of the incredible advances in technology, I have a digital tack. will measure the RPM within 1 RPM, and compute the mag difference and the total drop and all of that, and beat me with lights if it is not correct. As I look at my GEM engine analyzer, monitoring EGT and CHT on all of my 6 cylinders, and then I look back to even my flight training in the U.S. Navy, where VOR did not yet exist. And my instrument flying consisted of low-frequency radio range stations, DDAs and DADITs, Morse code. I don't know whether they still teach you Morse code, probably not. But in any event, all your navigation was in your ears, no visual presentations, and doing MDFs, which most of you have probably never heard of manual direction finding. You have to try that on an approach while you're flying with your left hand, and with a manual direction finding, it was a function of radio volume as well as distance from the station. And you wanted a 5 to 8 degree cone of silence. So your navigation was, if you were listening in your earphones and you heard nothing, absolutely nothing, you were on course. And you'd get off to one side or the other and you'd hear the bisignal zones, and then you'd correct back and try and correct for the drift. And as you got closer to the station, obviously a 5 to 7 degree beam width becomes narrower, and that's a function of volume. So you were rotating a loop antenna manually. The reason my hand is up here, it was in an airplane that the loop antenna was up here as well as the radio on the overhead. And so you would rotate the loop antenna until you heard nothing, and then turn down the volume so that the 5 degree beam width stayed the same. And you prayed a lot on those approaches. So when you consider that in my lifetime we've gone from MDFs to the type of equipment we have today, I'm frankly staggered by that thought. I am also still in great disbelief that my very close and good friend Congressman Nelson and I had the opportunity to fly in space. Because a long time after I became a pilot, in fact, when I was a senior at the University of Utah, if someone had said, Jake Garn, you will have the opportunity to fly in space someday, I would have laughed hysterically, because when I was a senior in college, nothing had flown in space. Sputnik had not yet flown. We had not put our first 2.5-pound satellite into space. So obviously, when I was in your position, waiting to receive my bachelor's degree, absolutely no possibility or thought that I would be able to orbit the Earth 109 times at 25 times the speed of sound. And yet it happened. It happened in a very brief period of time. So there has been an absolutely unbelievable explosion in technology that most of you at your age take for granted. You've grown up with it. I did not. And to take the story back a little bit further in the past, when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon, I was watching that event with my father. And he started to cry, and I said, Dad, why are you crying? This is not a sad event. This is a historic event, one of the great events of all history. And he said, oh, Jake, I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm just overcome with the emotion to think that here I am, sitting with my son, watching a man walk on the surface of the moon, because when I was 10 years old, your grandfather Garn read me the story from the Salt Lake Tribune about the Wright brothers' first flight. Now just think of that. My father was 10 years old when the Wright brothers flew, the first powered flight of man, and he lived to see Neil Armstrong walk on the moon. Unfortunately, he did not live to see his own son fly in space. But in one man's lifetime, all of that taking place, and when you consider the technological base we have now, and where things become outdated almost next week, I can't even begin to guess at what technology you will deal with in the future. beyond my ability to predict, because that explosion of technology will continue at a much more rapid pace than it did in my own father's or in my aviation career. So yes, the future is bright. There is no doubt about it, despite what's in the paper this morning or what your job search is. The longer run is more exciting than any of us can possibly visualize. It is almost frightening to me, the speed with which things change. It was mentioned that I was fortunate enough to receive the Wright Brothers Memorial Trophy in December, and I was rather nervous about that. First of all, I'm not trying to be humble, but I thought, gee, I don't deserve that. Honoring me like that is like paying a 12-year-old to eat candy in a candy store. I just loved aviation and did it because I loved it. But I was somewhat nervous about it, and so I was trying to think, how do I respond to that award? And I was looking through my father's scrapbook, and I found a couple of things that seemed to answer that question much better than I could myself. My father was Utah's first director of aeronautics. And fortunately, before he died, they dedicated the Utah State Aeronautics building to him, and he was a civil engineer and an aviator and not a politician like his son, filled with words, so his acceptance speech was very brief, but it certainly covered the essence of what I felt at the Wright brothers, and I will read it to you. It's just 4 paragraphs. There have been 2 great loves in my life. The greatest, of course, is my family, and next to that is aviation. I am proud on this occasion that my wife, my children, their companions, and all of my grandchildren are here. My love for aviation started when I was just a youngster in 1914, and we walked and thumbed rides out to Old Buena Vista to see Beechey demonstrate an old biplane. But it was not until 1917, when I was in the Air Corps, that I was able to fly on my own, and to hope that someday I might have a small part in getting aviation off the ground in this country. My son is carrying on that tradition, and I am sure that some of my grandsons will also be pilots. They will not, however, have to fly by the seat of their pants to listen to the sing of the brace wires to tell if they have and are maintaining flying speed, nor get that blast of wind on their cheek to see if they are skidding or slipping in a turn. Today, instruments give all those answers. I have seen aviation come a long way in the last 50 years. From the old Jennies I flew in World War I to the pure jets of today. And when I leave here in a few years, if by the remotest possibility I should go to that place where they say you sprout wings, I can visualize myself out flying around on my own wings to observe the advances made in planes in the next 50 years. I am indeed grateful to all those who are responsible for this recognition. It is more than I ever dreamed of. Well, that certainly covered my feelings much better than I could at the Wright Brothers Memorial Trophy about aviation. And then, just by accident, I found a letter from him to me that I don't ever remember receiving because I was 6 years old. But he said, "My dear son Jake, today the first airmail ever to be flown out of San Pete County is being flown by me. And I wanted you to have a letter sent from Fairview by the first airmail and flown by your daddy. In a few years, this will be common, and I suppose possibly all of the first-class mail will be carried by airplane. But today, this is an event which is being highly celebrated and which will go down in history. You can put this letter in your scrapbook and keep it together with the envelope, which will have a cachet designed by your Uncle Golden and others from Fairview. It will be interesting to you to keep this, as you may even want to show it to your children and grandchildren someday, so you can tell them how their grandfather flew the first airmail letter to you when you were only 5 years old. The time may come when you yourself will be flying airmail or may in some small way be connected with aeronautics. for it is a thing that is going to grow by leaps and bounds, and many of the young people of today will either be in this new industry or they will be flying around the country as they are driving automobiles today. And I know from your interest in airplanes that you will want to be flying when you are old enough. From your loving daddy. And then the thing that's never ceased to amaze me, he signs it J.E. Garn. But I think those two, the one speech and the letter, hopefully will give you a flavor of how aviation has developed far beyond even my father's expectations, and how it will grow even more rapidly in the future, and how each of us will be surprised by what is taking place 15 or 20 years from now. Beyond that, I would like to leave one other message with you, and to do that, to talk just briefly about what Congressman Nelson and I had the opportunity to experience. I wish it were possible to describe to you how magnificently beautiful this planet is from space. I'm sure Bill has tried as many times as I have to describe that to people, and I certainly don't feel I have the vocabulary or the ability to do that. But let me see if I can give you a picture of just one area of the Earth. While flying over the Mediterranean, if you can imagine being able to see all of the Mediterranean Sea all at one time, be able to see Spain and Portugal, Straits of Gibraltar, North Africa, France, to be able to see Italy and the boot of Italy, to be able to see Egypt where the blue and the white Nile join and flow northward together through the Alexandria Delta into the Mediterranean, to be able to see the Red Sea, the Suez Canal, the Sinai Peninsula, Saudi Arabia, Israel, to see the Jordan River connecting the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea, the Turkish highlands beyond that, the Bosphorus, the Black Sea, the Soviet Union, and all of Europe. And when you fly in space, traveling at Mach 25, you have 16 sunrises and sunsets every single day, 45 minutes of daylight and then 45 minutes of darkness. And during the sunset periods, the sun refracts through the Earth's atmosphere and produces a magnificent rainbow all the way around the edge of the Earth. Just in the outer blue zone alone with binoculars, we could count 23 different shades of blue. And the Earth becomes very black below you, and in the vacuum of space, it's always black behind you. And just for a few moments, the orbiter appeared to me not to be reflecting the sun's light, but to be emanating its own light. So you have this beautiful, ethereal white spacecraft in the blackness of space, and all around you are John Glenn's fireflies. Well, when John flew, they didn't know what they were and were worried about them, and subsequently NASA found out that simply as we vent excess water overboard from our fuel cells, that they instantly freeze in the minus 250-degree temperature and form clear ice crystals, and they also refract the sun's light. So if you can imagine seeing this magnificent area of the world going into a sunset period, a beautiful rainbow around the edge of the Earth, a beautiful white spacecraft traveling at 25 times the speed of sound, and millions of John Glenn's fireflies traveling with us. It's a sight that I'm sure I will never forget and Bill will never forget. But while recognizing this great beauty, I also had great feelings of anger and frustration and irritation looking back at the Earth, because when I was flying, the Ayatollah and Saddam Hussein were killing hundreds of thousands of each other's people. You could fly over Ethiopia and realize vividly from the pictures you'd seen on Earth that this is where thousands of children and adults were dying from starvation. You'd fly over countries like Korea and think, what is the difference between North and South Korea? They're all Koreans. They're not an ethnic mix like I am, Scotch, Welsh, Dutch, Norwegian, Danish, English, and German. I'm more NATO than any of the NATO countries. And you think the difference is one very important thing. The difference on the south side of the 38th parallel is those human beings are free, and on the north side they're not. Same thing flying over Germany. What's the difference between East and West Germany? Freedom. And when you consider that there are certainly enough natural resources on this earth for everyone, there certainly is enough capacity to grow food that none of God's children need to go hungry. And when you realize that we are all God's children on this earth, regardless of where we live or what the color of our skin or what language we speak, all traveling on spaceship Earth together as astronauts at a very high rate of speed moving through the universe, that's where the feelings of irritation and anger come from, because of this type of behavior, and that such a few individuals in the history of mankind could cause so much difficulty as we are now seeing in Bosnia. I am not capable of understanding human beings treating each other in the manner that they are, ethnic cleansing. I don't understand that people can kill fellow human beings in the name of God and feel good about it. So again, while recognizing the great beauty of the earth, these feelings of anger come, and you can't help but feel disappointed, upset, that there is a better way to live. And also recognizing how remarkable human beings are when the human spirit is free, what it can accomplish. I had the opportunity to be in East Berlin with my wife and some other senators 3 weeks after the wall opened up, after having looked at the area from space. And we were invited by the U.S. ambassador to East Berlin to have dinner at his home in East Berlin, and he invited members of the Politburo and members of the New Forum, the dissident group that had started the demonstration some months before. And it was a rather daring thing for him to do, in a way, to bring these people together, because Honecker was still in control. Nothing had changed except the daily visas to let them go through the wall to look at West Berlin. I sat next to a young man who had a PhD in microbiology, and I asked him to tell me about his life, and he said, "Senator, when I was 13 years old, my father made a very mild anti-government statement outside that church, that Lutheran church you visited today," and he said he was arrested and gone for 17 years. We didn't know what happened to him. We didn't know whether he was alive or dead. He was returned to us as a broken old man for making a few statements. And I said, "Well, tell me about your life." And he said, "Well, I'm so excited." He said, "Last week, for the first time in 7 years, my wife and I were able to see our 21-year-old daughter." And I said, "Where has she been?" And he said, "She's been in West Berlin. We were able to sneak her out into the floorboards of a car." And he said, maybe now we can raise our other children and keep them here at home. Maybe, if we're lucky. Maybe the wall will come down in 5 years. And I said, "Well, how can you explain to me that you are so anti-communist? At 40 years of age, you have never lived under any other system. Why are you so anti?" And he looked at me and he said, "Senator, don't you understand? Don't you understand that God gave us freedom? The communists have imprisoned my body for 40 years. They have not imprisoned my soul." And then he said, "Do you have any idea how hard it is to give up a child?" He said, "Do you have children?" And I said, "Yes, I have 7. And he said, "What choice would you make if you could choose between freedom for your child and raising them?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know that I could be that self-sacrificing to give up one of my children so that they could be free." Well, you may wonder what this has to do with the commencement address. What it has to do with the commencement address is, yes, you are trained in aeronautics and aviation, an exciting field as I have described to you. And you will be able to make great contributions to that industry as it expands and grows and changes technology-wise. But in addition, whatever your specialties are, I would plead with you to be involved as a citizen of this country, to be grateful for the opportunity you have had to live in a free country, to make choices of where you live, with whom you associate, and where you go to college and what you study. What a remarkable opportunity all of us have had who have been the beneficiaries of the blood and the sweat and the toil of a lot of people who have gone before us to make this possible. And having had the view I have had from space and on the ground in my political career, that has even been enhanced in my mind of how fortunate we are, and that we cannot just be selfish with our own talents and our time, that we must give something back to our country and to our fellow human beings without any expectation of return. Now, that doesn't mean you all run for public office, but that means you're involved in your community. That means you're involved in volunteer work. That means you're involved in the political process to the extent of at least examining your candidates for public office and making informed decisions on who you want to serve you in important offices. So yes, credible opportunity, a great past in aviation in this history of this country, the technological leader in all of these fields. Those opportunities, as I have mentioned several times and cannot emphasize enough, are beyond yours or my ability or the faculty to describe to you. But in addition to that, be grateful that you are a free human being, that the choices that you have before you are yours and not anyone else's, and make sure that through your actions beyond your profession, you leave that legacy to your children and grandchildren as well, to be free human beings, citizens of the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Garn, for sharing your experiences, your advice, your wisdom to our graduates, and for your insights for the future. Thank you very much. We would like to take this opportunity to recognize the accomplishments of another distinguished individual. To present this award, we have selected one of our own distinguished graduates, who is now a full professor and is the chairman of our Flight Technology Department, Dr. John Phipps. John?
The Gil Rob Wilson Award was established to honor a man whose personal goal was the professional training of young people in the art of airmanship. Gil Rob Wilson was a World War I fighter pilot, the founder of the Civil Air Patrol, and the editor of Flying Magazine. He loved aviation and he shared that love with others. He believed that the professional approach to the science of aviation would lead the world toward a better future. Mr. Wilson felt that the wealth of a nation existed in its well-trained and well-educated youth, and he worked tirelessly with them. The Gil Rob Wilson Memorial Aeronautical Science Center here on the Daytona Beach campus was built in his memory. Today, we present this award to Captain William H. Traub, Vice President of Flight Standards and Training at United Airlines Flight Center in Denver, Colorado. Captain Traub, would you please join me at the podium? Captain Traub is a pilot educator whose service at United has been consummate and truly professional. Today, the fullness of his responsibility includes the training, checking, and quality control of all flight officers at United. He also develops policies, procedures, and techniques for the safe operation of all the aircraft fleet types at United. Almost 3 decades ago, Captain Traub joined United as a flight instructor. He quickly progressed into other positions such as supervisor in the DC-8, Boeing 727, 737, and 747 sections. In 1969, Captain Traub received the first United Airlines captain rating on the Boeing 747. At the company's flight center in Denver, Captain Traub has also been charged with a number of high-level positions, including flight standards manager in both the 727 and 737 fleets, flight training manager, director of flight operations training, and director of flight standards and training. After joining United Airlines, Captain Traub also offered his service to the Wyoming Air National Guard, where he flew C-121s and C-130s. He retired from service as an aircraft commander and instructor pilot, having logged more than 10,000 flight hours. During his service at United, Captain Traub has been instrumental in establishing flight officer internships with 18 college aviation programs, including Embry-Riddle's. In addition, he is a member of the Board of Trustees of the Council on Aviation Accreditation. Through Captain Traub's leadership and initiative, United Airlines has become a leader in supporting aviation higher education. On behalf of the faculty, students, and staff of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, it is my pleasure to present this award to Captain William H. Traub, a true pilot educator who has demonstrated throughout his career the fine aviation mentorship which was Gil Rob Wilson's trademark. Captain Traub, in addition to the plaque that you are receiving today, your name will be permanently inscribed on a plaque located in the Gil Rob Wilson complex on the Daytona Beach campus. Congratulations. Thanks.
Congratulations again, Captain Traub. At this time, it is my pleasure to recognize several distinguished groups of students. First of all, Embry-Riddle is very fortunate to have several of the Armed Forces commissioning programs active on the Daytona Beach campus. The Air Force ROTC detachment has the largest enrollment of any civilian institution in the country, and our Army ROTC detachment is one of the highest growth programs in the nation. Some of our students who do not participate in those programs also participate in programs with the Navy and the Marine Corps through off-campus programs. We are extremely proud of all of those students who take part and become new second lieutenants in our nation's armed forces. Whether they were commissioned last night, or going to be commissioned this week, or this afternoon, will all of the nation's newest lieutenants please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Continuing our recognition of special achievements, we wish to present the graduates who are completing their degrees with honors. They will be recognized individually when their names are announced as they cross the stage to receive their diplomas. As a group, the graduates wearing white cords have achieved grade point averages of between 3.50 and 3.69 on a 4.0 system, and are graduating cum laude with honors or with praise. Will these students wearing the white cord please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Graduates wearing red cords have achieved a grade point average of between 3.70 and 3.89 and are graduating magna cum laude with great honors. Will these students please stand and be recognized? And finally, the smallest group of students, those graduates wearing gold cords, have earned a grade point average of between 3.90 and 4.0. They are graduating summa cum laude with highest honors and praise. Will these students please stand and be recognized? We also have some students today who are participating in the graduating exercise who will be completing their academic work this summer. We allow them to walk, as we call it, with their classmates and to graduate because we have no graduation at the end of the summer. Since their work is not complete, appropriate honors, which will appear on their transcript if they earn them, cannot be officially recognized today. But those students who are confident that they will graduate with honors, please stand and let your parents recognize you now. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure at this time to introduce you to Dr. Jeffrey Ledowitz, Executive Vice President and Vice President of Student Life. He would like to make a special presentation. Dr. Ledowitz.
Each commencement, an outstanding graduating senior is selected to receive the President's Award. Candidates for this award of distinction are selected on the basis of academic excellence, campus activities, and contributions to the university and to the local community. These students are leaders who challenge others around them to think, to question, and to act, and are recommended by representatives of the faculty, the staff, and the student body. At this time, President Spiegel will join me at the podium to announce this year's recipient of the President's Award.
I am very pleased today to announce the senior who is receiving the President's Award. In fact, until this moment, I didn't know who it was. Melissa C. Hall, will you please come forward? Will you please come forward, Melissa? We would have all of our aspiring graduates emulate. As a graduate of the Aerospace Engineering program, Melissa completed her studies with a 3.94 grade point average, placing her on the Dean's List every semester and earning her a place also on the National Dean's List. Her record of academic excellence was well established before coming to Embry-Riddle, however, as she was identified as a top 10 scholar at West Charlotte High School in North Carolina, and she won 3rd place in the North Carolina Regional Science Fair for her portable home-built wind tunnel and testing method. She is also a member of the Sigma Gamma Tau Engineering Honor Society. Especially encouraging is her combining of technical knowledge and environmental concern. As a member of the World Wildlife Fund and the Center for Marine Mammal Conservation, Melissa has committed herself to causes she believes in. Her immediate professional goal is to pursue a master's degree in chemical engineering before working as an aerospace engineer, designing propulsion systems that are less environmentally destructive than current designs. Melissa's fusion of environmental concern, intelligence, and technical expertise make her a dynamic selection for this prestigious award. Congratulations, Melissa, on receiving the President's Award for your outstanding scholarship and leadership.
Thank you very much.
Several years ago, the Board of Trustees of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University honored John C. Adams, Jr., a long-standing trustee, by establishing an award in his name. The John C. Adams Community Service Award is presented annually to a graduating senior who has given of his or her time and talents to both the university and to the local community. We have asked former Congressman Bill Nelson, a member of the Embry-Riddle Board of Trustees, to present this award today. Congressman Nelson.
Good morning. Peter Wang, will you please come to the podium? An appropriate recipient of either the President's Award or this John C. Adams focus on the importance of human elements in academia, industry, and in the community separates him as someone special who best illustrates the spirit of human service that this award exemplifies. In addition to his near straight-A performance in aerospace engineering, Peter's commitment to the quality of his human environment led him to become involved in a remarkable list of service activities, both on the campus and off. As treasurer and then as president of the Math Club, as editor of the Math Club's newsletter, as secretary of the Omicron Delta Kappa National Leadership Honor Society, and as the international student representative to the Student Government Association, Peter's selfless commitment and leadership qualities were evidenced again and again. And in addition, because he aspires to work in a human factors aviation medical field, Peter took it upon himself to volunteer every Saturday for an entire year at Halifax Medical Center, transporting patients into and out of the hospital so that he could better understand the human element, the nitty-gritty, as he describes it, within the medical field, interacting closely with those patients often in need of personal interaction and support. And he also worked closely with a 10th grade student in the Volusia County school system as a youth motivator and mentor. Well, Peter's focused energy, his sharp intellect, and his concern for human welfare set him apart as a laudatory example. Congratulations, Peter.
It's now my pleasure to introduce you to the president of your senior class, Mark Owen. Mark? It's one of the long walks he has to make.
Ooh, that's a nice long walk. It's a great honor that I speak on behalf of the graduating class of April 1993. President Sliwa, Senator Garn, Captain Traub, Congressman Nelson, distinguished honorary guests, members of the boards of trustees and visitors, university officers, deans, department chairs, faculty and staff, family and friends, and my fellow graduates. Good morning. Well, we did it. We finally made it. Many of us have been counting the days, some since last December, when we saw our friends sitting here and realized that we were the next in line to cross this stage. Now that we're here, let's take some time to remember our days here at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Together, we remember studying all night for tests, going to homecoming concerts, spring breaks, race weeks, air shows, free food at local happy hours, and also going to the beach. Even though each of us will remember many different things, we all will remember the friends that we have made. Many changes have also taken place over the past few years. We've seen changes in the leadership of our country and of our school. We've seen the implementation of varsity athletics and our flight team becoming national champions. We've also seen the university grow with the acquisition of new land and grants for new buildings in the future. Not only have these things improved, but so have we. We have grown and changed to meet the needs of our society and the people around us. Many people used to say that education is limited to the classroom. Well, this is no longer the case. Education must not only be learned in the classroom, but in every aspect of the campus community. A special group of people here today have helped to make us well-rounded individuals. They have nurtured us and allowed us to learn through failures and recognized us when we gave it our all. They are the recipients of the Faculty and Staff Appreciation Awards. The criteria for this award is based on their active participation in student life, involving themselves above and beyond their job description, as well as serving as an influential role model to us. Would the winners please stand and be recognized? There's another group of special people here today. They are the 40 members of the Senior Class Council. These volunteers have worked very hard to make our senior year a memorable one, and I'm proud to be among them. I would like to ask the Senior Class Council and our advisor, Lori Ranfos, to please stand at this time and be recognized. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. Can at times experience difficult periods. Even though that occurs, our education from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University will definitely enhance our future career endeavors and will help us to oversee the difficult times. There are only winners sitting here today. We have pursued the hard times in the past and came out shining. We can accomplish whatever goals we place upon ourselves, as long as we give it our best. We are graduates. With this in mind, I would like to share with you an excerpt from a speech by Vince Lombardi, What It Takes to Be Number One. You've got to pay the price. Winning is not a sometime thing, it's an all-the-time thing. You don't win once in a while, you don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit. You've got to be smart to be number one in any business. But more important, you've got to play with your heart, with every fiber of your body. Running a football team is no different from running any other kind of organization. An army, a political party, a business. The principles are the same. It's a reality of life that men are competitive, and the most competitive games draw the most competitive men. That's why they're there, to compete. The objective is to win, fairly, squarely, decently, by the rules, but to win. I don't say these things because I believe in the brute nature of man, or that men be brutalized to be combative. I believe in God, and I believe in human decency. But I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, his greatest fulfillment to all he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in a good cause and lies exhausted on the field of battle, victorious. To all of you, my fellow Spring 1993 graduates, I say congratulations. And remember, as we leave here today, if we can continue to strive and be the best we can at whatever we do, we will always be number one. We all owe our presence here today to those who have given us so much, so that we could learn and grow and be better people. To our family, friends, and teachers, thank you. And a special thanks to you, Mom and Dad. Congratulations, graduates.
In his speech, Mark recognized members of the faculty who were selected by the graduating seniors as outstanding faculty members. I would like to congratulate those professors as well as all of our professors for the work they do. And I'm honored at this time to recognize the faculty finalists for the Outstanding Teaching Award. And these are faculty selected by their peers for a singular honor. This award was created several years ago to help emphasize the importance that Embry-Riddle places on excellence in the classroom. The selection is made by a faculty committee from a group of truly outstanding nominees who represent the best of a quality faculty. Will the following distinguished finalists please stand and be recognized? Dr. Bruce Chadwick. Dr. Albert Elphick, and Dr. James Lattiser. The fourth finalist and the recipient of this year's award is Dr. William Grams. Dr. Grams, will you please come to the podium? Dr. Grams joined Embry-Riddle as an associate professor of mathematics in the fall of 1980. He holds master's degrees in mathematics and statistics and a PhD in statistics from Florida State University, and currently holds the rank of full professor with tenure. Prior to coming to Embry-Riddle, Professor Grams provided math courses at Vanderbilt University and at the University of Tennessee. His distinguished service with Embry-Riddle includes 6 years as chairman of the Department of Mathematics and Physical Sciences and 2 years as dean of the College of Engineering and Aviation Science. The award for outstanding teaching is based only on his teaching, however, and not on his administrative duties, and he has proven himself to be most deserving. He is a dedicated teacher whose enthusiasm for his subject inspires his students to excel. While statistics is not the most popular subject on campus, Dr. Graham's ability to challenge his students is a testimony to his ability as a teacher, and they are inspired and they do learn the subject. It is indeed my honor to recognize him with a plaque and with a significant check. We want to thank you, Bill, for providing our students with excellence in the classroom and with we, your peers, with an outstanding role model. Dr. Grams.
A very special thank you to my colleagues, my students, and my university for this very special honor. I know my students, with their hard work and dedication, have been a true inspiration to me as well as my colleagues. Thank you again.
Well, the moment has arrived that we've been waiting for. President Sliwa, at this time, the faculty of the Daytona Beach campus are pleased to present the candidates for degrees. The candidates will now come to the platform to receive their diplomas. As the graduates cross the stage, they will be presented their diplomas by the chair or program chair of their department and will be congratulated by President Sliwa, by Senator Garn, and by Congressman Nelson. Assisting us in this presentation and making the readings for us is Dr. Nancy Parker. Dr. Parker?
Chair of the Aeronautical Science Department will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. In Aeronautical Science. William Patrick Goodwin. Claudio Lopez. Randy Joseph Packard. Todd Owen Weaver. Candidates for the degree of Associate in Science in Professional Aeronautics. Cordell Leslie Barnes Moore. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Science. Michael Paul Alice. David Alexander Allen. Taman Al-Matuk. Farid Ashraf. Peter Lee Babby. Jorge Enrique Badia III. Corey Vale Bainter. Stephen Craig Barbieri. William Joseph Bard, cum laude. William Ernest Birchow. Stephanie Bellagari. Frank Weldon Berry III. Eric Edward Bischoff.
Come on up.
Sylvan Hugh Blackstock.
Come on up.
Frederick William Block.
Come on up.
Brian Mark Boding.
Come on up.
Mark Allen Bosley.
Come on up.
Zachariah Ray Bowers. Michael R. Braxton. Michael A. Breton. Wilfred Bernhard Burker. Jeffrey Ward Brumal.
Come on up.
Andrew Edward Brown.
Come on up.
David Allen Brown.
Come on up.
Ari Buchanan. Ronald James Buxton Jr.
Come on up.
Jason A. Burt. Lance Aaron Busby. Troy Allen Butcher. Anthony Keith Caballero.
Come on up.
Derek Michael Cahill. Joseph Anthony Casulo III.
Come on up.
Sandra E. Cervantes. Jeffrey L. Chan. Nicole J. Christopher, Senior Class Counsel.
Come on up.
Louis Anthony Cinquanto Jr., Omicron Delta Kappa. Scott Russell Clark, Senior Class Counsel.
Come on up.
David Daniel Constantino Jr.
Come on up.
Jeffrey Matthews Cook. George Gilbert Cornwell IV.
Come on up.
Eric Thomas Crawford, Society for Collegiate Journalists. Joseph Dana Crawford. Timothy Lewis Crow. William Albert Crown. Thomas Comiskey. Anthony James Diasta. Dave John Shepard Daniels. Melissa S. Davis. Preston Hills Davis, Senior Class Counsel. William DeBrouwer, Society for Collegiate Journalists. Julie Fernandez de Launke. Rocky Michael DeFrancesco Jr. James Wilbur Deloach III. Monica Elena Denny, Senior Class Counsel. Todd Anthony DeCello. Patrick Christopher Dolph. William Christopher Dorman. Davis Michael Douglas, Sigma Tau Delta. Jamie Earl Duco. David Lewis Dunham. Adam Benny Duzak. Michael Kevin Dwyer. Second Lieutenant William Todd Eccles. Brad Darren Elsie. Jeffrey Allen Engel, Senior Class Counsel. Second Lieutenant Matthew Scott Evans. Brian Andrew Farrell, Senior Class Counsel. Donald Joseph Farrell. Brian McLean Ferguson.
Okay.
Luis Miguel Fernandez. Sean Francis Fitzpatrick. William Francis Frado III. Eric Shea Fredrickson. Philip Stephen Frist. Bradley Guy Fuller, Senior Class Counsel. Scott Daniel Fuller. Joseph Patrick Gaeta. Mark Kevin Gagney. Daniel G. Gianarelli. Richard Peter Gerlone. Kevin Stewart Gibson. Gregory Derek Janetti. Stephen Gregory Graff. Stephen Robert Groh. David Scott Grokey. Hauken Adonar Howe. J. Robert Haynes. Christopher Lee Heiser. Rodney Howard Henderson. David McLean Hines. Charles Anthony Hitcho. Jeremy Spencer Hodges. Matthew Keith Hopkins. James William Howard II, magna cum laude. Scott Stephen Hewlett. Ronald T. Hulton. Brian Lee Husa. Kareem Alex Heimer. Stephen Christopher Yala. Philip Charles Kaler. Kirby M. Kaufman. Kurt Allen Kazmaier. Robert Sean Keeley. David Paul Keith. Brett Lee Keller. Jennifer Christine Kelsey. Michael John Kennington. Thomas Joseph Kilmurray. Frank John Kinnick. Richard Allen Kirk. Richard L. Clinert. Chad William Kornberg. Trent L. Kowalski. Peter C. Krasowski. Scott E. Kulka. Michael William Lage. Joseph Norman Lamoureux. Leonard Michael Lancaster. Robert Michael Lane. Mark Carl Larson. Michael John Lazaro. Scott T. Legowski. Simon Levy. Second Lieutenant William Allen Lewis. Frank Charles Lewis III, cum laude. Christopher Scott Lind, Senior Class Counsel. Mary Ellen Lindquist, Senior Class Counsel. Timothy James Lisoskas. Jonathan Shea Longebach. Raul Masiva Sanchez. Stephen Kenneth Mackey. Brian M. Marin. Christopher Lawrence Marshall. Quentin Laverne Martin. Vida Masumi. Mitchell John Matheson. John Joseph Matovich. Christopher Arnold Matthews, Sigma Tau Delta Senior Class Council. Marcy Renee Mayer. Stuart Wayne McClaskey, cum laude. Michael George McGovern. Joseph John McMonigal, Jr. Lyndon Davis Meckel. Tara B. Kelly, Senior Class Council, Omicron Delta Kappa, cum laude. Barbara A. Meyer. David Alexander Mader, Omicron Delta Kappa. Troy Elliott Molander. May Gail Montessa. John Kenneth Moore. Joseph D. Morowitz. Brian Richard Murphy, Who's Who 1991. Daniel Christopher Natras. Raymond Charles Newbig, Who's Who 1991, summa cum laude. Valerie Rose Olek. Paul John Olson, magna cum laude. Peter Lloyd Padilla. Peter Joseph Hellas. Gary Brooks Phillips. L. Scott Phillips. Richard Stewart Pindell. Keith Dean Plum, Omicron Delta Kappa. Michael William Poppy. Robert Lee Pozaga. Second Lieutenant Brent Marshall Provinsky, magna cum laude. Ronald Leslie Reckler. David Anthony Rederson. John Grover Reckworth. Gino Jose Ramanelli. William Francis Ritter. Zaik Rizvi, cum laude. Gary Maurice Robichaud, Jr. Second Lieutenant Francisco Rodriguez. Second Lieutenant Ricardo Rodriguez. Gunther Ralphel, cum laude. Mark William Ruan. Jeffrey Stephen Ruby. Leonard Arthur Rupert, Jr. Monty O. Sanders III. Russell George Sanford. Danny Richard Serino. Brian Michael Schott. Bernard G. Schwartz, Senior Class Council. Todd Craig Schwarzenbach. David John Schweikofer. Darren Anthony Sr. Brent Arthur Sipley. Mihai Shmigelski. Neil Gordon Smiley. Scott James Stafford Jr. Albert Edward Stankus. James William Steele. Jason Randolph Steen. Vincent Stefano, Who's Who 1991. Daniel Roger Stoffler. Kevin Eric Stoltz. Neil Swindles, Who's Who 1992, magna cum laude. A. Mashiko Siski. Shuri Marie Sitella. Richard D. Tallman. Joel Allen Thompson. Robert Carl Tickey. Todd Allen Trauber. Eric E. Trax. Second Lieutenant John Andrew Trangali, Omicron Delta Kappa. Russell Craig Tullius. Eric Hamilton Tupper. Walter Lee Tuttle. William James Van Leuven. Todd Richard Vasquez. Scott Kendrick Warner. Melissa Susan Washburn. Brian Michael Washkowitz. Robert E. Weisenseal. Chad Morgan White. Heidi Julia Williams. Jeffrey Thomas Wood. Nicholas Anthony Zampano. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Studies: Michael J. Alexander. Aaron Joshua Brown. Michael Anderson Brown. Second Lieutenant Christian Hayworth Carter. Richard Craig Champ Jr., cum laude. Charles William Church. Rebecca Susan Cooper. Tracy Janine Darney. Lieutenant Christopher Deaver. James Shaw Dryden. Matthew J. Foster. Charles Wes Fowler. Sam Gordon, Omicron Delta Kappa. Roger Samuel Gross. James Patrick Huntoon. Second Lieutenant David Tyson Kennedy. Todd Michael Kubel. Michael John Lacatina, Joni Andorra Lampert, Omicron Delta Kappa, Lemuel Lamardo, Sigma Tau Delta, Gian Namayon, Keith Elliott Lopez, Gudrid Tor Marcuson, Jamie Menendez, Ronald Anthony Nielsen, Rui Miguel Perea, John Robert Rutherford Jr., Rudolfo Roque Jr., Todd Randall Sales, Second Lieutenant Stephen David Scavito, David M. Schnur, Second Lieutenant Bridget Janet Smith, Michael Aubrey Southward, William Henry Springer Jr., Neil William Strife, Christopher Joseph Struck, Robert Edward Taylor III, Richard S. Track, Manuel Vasquez III, Second Lieutenant David Christopher Villome, Robin Sue Woodard, Timothy Carl Yensich, Michelle Christine Yuskavich, Who's Who 1992. Tammy Allison Strout, Who's Who 1992. Sean Patrick Whitaker. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Professional Aeronautics. Jeffrey David Benning. David Richard Bovary. Second Lieutenant Jonathan Anthony Boston. Ambers Holmes Capps. Tracy Darren Clark. David Matthew Conboy. Sean Stephen Carica. Craig Michael Crosby. Second Lieutenant Sandra Beth Cummings, Who's Who 1992, Omicron Delta Kappa. Jeffrey Allen Dearborn. Scott Edward Farmer. John Michael Frazier. William Brian Harathan, summa cum laude. Constantine Michael Karahamagan. William George Kelly Jr. Curtis Andrew Lamson. William Felix Lee. Second Lieutenant Joseph Freeman Lineberry Jr. Stephen Michael Mansfield. Brett Matthew McCann. J. Brendan Malloy, Phi Beta Lambda, Omicron Delta Kappa. Patrick Coma. Stephen Peterson, summa cum laude. John Michael Schaefer, cum laude. Dwayne Thomas Spurrier, magna cum laude. Kenneth Philip Steinhardt. Gregory Raymond Varnson. William E. Vines. David Allen Wiggins. Professor David Hazen, Chair of the Aerospace Engineering Department, will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Engineering. Mohammed Karima Amar Amri. Mohammed Thani Al-Mihari. Robert Lee Harvey Jr. Terry Daniel Heiser. James Scott Hughes. Mark Lewis Kingery. Second Lieutenant Kyle Eric Konchak. Eric Eugene Lockwood. Robert Francis Malon. Gregory V. Maholick. Joel D. Nix. Kevin D. Patrick. Andrew Milton Rockalla. Sigma Gamma Tau. Garrett Lane Sager. Michael Thomas Schwartz. Charles Edward Stewart. Second Lieutenant Todd Joseph Weishar. Michael Rex Winfield. Michael Casper Zabley. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering. Solam A. Abdullah. Kenneth D. Adrian. Ahmad Mubarak Al-Kabisi. Ali R. Armenian, Sigma Gamma Tau. Hector J. Arinsibia, Sigma Gamma Tau. Robert E. Basinger. Second Lieutenant Dwayne Eugene Bird. Stephen Andrew Boylan. Gene Arthur Brotherton Jr. Todd David Burrows. Derek Sean Clark. Lisa M. Combs, Who's Who 1990, Sigma Gamma Tau, Omicron Delta Kappa. Second Lieutenant Joselito Papa de la Rosa. Second Lieutenant Robert Otto Downs. Roger Dean Feldner Jr. Yarini Inara Fioka. Second Lieutenant Kyle John Francis Frendel. Sigma Gamma Tau. Bradford Earl Green. Sigma Gamma Tau, cum laude. Stephen Brian Haithcock, Sigma Gamma Tau. Justin Brian Hall. Melissa Karen Hall, Sigma Gamma Tau, summa cum laude. Thomas Anthony Hanna, Senior Class Counsel. Second Lieutenant Jennifer Jane Johnson. John L. Kakusis. Gregory Michael Katiba. Charles Robert Klein. David Charles Lesniewski. Amy Sue Litzinger, Who's Who 1992, Sigma Gamma Tau, Senior Class Counsel, Omicron Delta Kappa. Kelly M. Mouter. Dawn R. McKibben. Nilüfer Kioki Mushkaum, also a candidate for the degree of Master of Business Administration in Aviation, Who's Who 1991, Omicron Delta Kappa. Second Lieutenant Paul Edward Murphy III. Second Lieutenant Richard Carl Newfang. Jonathan A. Ang. David Roger Poffler. Kip D. Petrikowski. Second Lieutenant Andrew Don Roberts. Raul Rosario. Kevin David Russo, Sigma Gamma Tau, magna cum laude. Second Lieutenant S. Christian Saccone. Stephen J. Schurig, Senior Class Counsel. Michael Gordon Silver, Sigma Gamma Tau. Second Lieutenant Michael Sean Singer. Second Lieutenant Kelly Marie Sloan. Russ M. Snow. Keith Allen Sterner. Todd Patrick Sykes, Sigma Gamma Tau. Second Lieutenant Amy Christina Tavares. Gustavo Teja, Sigma Gamma Tau. Asao Winodi, Sigma Gamma Tau, cum laude. Percy Van Ryn, Sigma Gamma Tau, Sigma Tau Delta. Peter H. Wang, Who's Who 1992, Sigma Gamma Tau, Omicron Delta Kappa, magna cum laude. Francis Michael Vlad. Dr. Paul Brame of the Humanities Social Sciences Department will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. Candidates for the degree of the Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Studies. Mark John Durand. Second Lieutenant Ronald Joseph Fay. Curtis William Gear. Robert William Kobrivnikar. Dr. Abe Harif, Chair of the Aviation Business Administration Department, will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. Candidates for the degree of Associate in Science in Aviation Business Administration: Roger Vernon Beck. Brenda K. Fugate, Phi Beta Lambda, Senior Class Counsel, Omicron Delta Kappa. Olaf Per Heistud. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Business Administration: Ayla Maher Abu Shaban. Darcy Patrick Akers, magna cum laude. Jose Che Aponte. Jerry Anthony Arnold. Elaine Becerra. Don Michael Bennett, Senior Class Counsel. Alicia Diane Boswell. Second Lieutenant Christina Elizabeth Bowles. James Scott Bricken. Anna Christina DeBerrio, Who's Who 1992. Michael Craig Cohen. Leslie Grant Covington, Phi Beta Lambda Senior Class Counsel. Sean Michael Craig. Pedro Cuento Dash. Janet Parrish, Disbennett cum laude. Daniel Dyer. Stacy Ann Fort. Stephen Frederick Frazier. Kaylin John Gauger, Senior Class Counsel, Omicron Delta Kappa. Michael Gaiman. Wee Beng Go. Luis Gonsalves. Ricardo St. Augustine Grubb. Ingun Gudmonsitor. Martin Frederick Haberstich. Thomas Wade Hansen, Phi Beta Lambda Senior Class Counsel, Treasurer. Matt T. Hart. Thomas Ward Hart, Senior Class Counsel. Lorraine Harvat. Kimberly K. Height, also a candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Studies. Who's Who 1990 and 1992, Omicron Delta Kappa. Christian Gordon Heinkel. Sean O'Neill Hester. Michael R. Hunter. Second Lieutenant John Scott Jackson, Who's Who 1991, Omicron Delta Kappa, magna cum laude. Christopher John Jansen, Senior Class Counsel. Pedro Luis Jimenez. Jennifer Ann Kennedy. James Douglas Kruger. Tom Lataquente. Richard James Lesniak. Chad Allen Linton. Hernando F. Lozano. Mark Francis Lytle. Samuel C. Mason. Michelle Lynn McNett. Cynthia Nokutula Michon. That one of those. Dejan Falco. Norimi Modisi. Jeff Moken. William B. Nielsen Jr. I. Nishioka. Second Lieutenant Hilton J. Nunez, Sigma Tau Delta, Senior Class Council. Ernest Nitch. Patrick Kenneth O'Neill. Minoru Ogawa. Alan Carroll Oliver. Brian R. Parker, Senior Class Council. Michael Anthony Parrott. Laura Jean Pierce, Who's Who 1992, Omicron Delta Kappa. Jeffrey Scott Reese, Omicron Delta Kappa, cum laude. Jeanette Marie Riggs. Carlos Eduardo Rodriguez. Carlos Jose Salazar, Omicron Delta Kappa. Jason L. Schwartz. Don E. Schutte, also a candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Maintenance Management, magna cum laude. Michael James Soder, Phi Beta Lambda. Michael Sean Stelwag, Phi Beta Lambda. Robin Denise Stockwell. Joseph I. Strickland III, Phi Beta Lambda, Omicron Delta Kappa, cum laude. Haruki Takada, magna cum laude. Raymond J. Tangway. Second Lieutenant David Martin Tenenbaum, Who's Who 1992.
George Allen.
Christopher Patrick Tetler. Kirsten Lynn Thomas. George Allen Tyler. Dale Edward Veach. Anissa Elizabeth Weed, cum laude. Linda A. Zinn, Phi Beta Lambda, Senior Class Council Secretary, Omicron Delta Kappa. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Maintenance Management. Darsha Indra Abiwarder. Ali H. Abul. Eduardo Paul Barrio. Leighton Andrew Chinhing. Jeffrey James Costello. Joseph L. Dianto. Robert R. Frankel. James Lawrence Holland. Hun Woo Kim. Danny Lee. Carl Herbert Lineberger. Jeffrey B. Lingo. Konstantin Rudolph Lotz. Second Lieutenant Raymond E. Meadows. Kevin C. Miller. Eric Kurt Mills. Jeffrey Dwayne Pipping. James J. Romano. Robert E. Sauerwald, Phi Beta Lambda. Thomas Kendrick Schill. Peter Charles Settembriano Jr. Allison Ravindall Slight, cum laude. Connie A. Smith. Ronald Scott Stager. Michael D. Torino. Jeffrey Dean Wells. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Management of Technical Operations. Elise Marybeth Lamartina. Jennifer Lynn Warren, Senior Class Counsel. Dr. Thomas Hilburn of the Aviation Computer Science Department will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Computer Science. Second Lieutenant Chris Dwayne Adams. Second Lieutenant Brian Andrew Frost. David Lee Fugate. Sheila Roxanne Kiermanpour. Jennifer R. Joseph. Second Lieutenant William David Lockhart IV. Who's Who 1991-1992 Omicron Delta Kappa. Charles H. Mount Jr. Second Lieutenant Keith Edward Mueller. Second Lieutenant Kenneth Vernon Sheets. Second Lieutenant Corina K. Webb. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science with Aviation Applications. Jason Eric Clancy. Jonathan Craig Famous, Senior Class Counsel. Second Lieutenant Charles William Frederick. Second Lieutenant Kelly Spires Jang. Glenn Robert Hustler. John Houston Land. Clive Casey Learning. Second Lieutenant Christopher Joseph Scarborough. Lisa Renee Steffens. John Edward Watovich. Candidates for the degree of Associate in Aviation Maintenance Technology. Jeffrey Charles Austin. Professor Paul Taylor, Program Chair for the Aviation Maintenance Technology Department, will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. Wesley J. Belcher. Jonathan Oliver Boots. Anthony Celiberti. Robert Allen Chapin. Travis Lee Coffey. Richard Bailey Folks. Joseph John Grabowski, Darren L. Howard, Nathan Robert Kraus, William Duncan Lusner, James Nicholas Molino, Timothy Lee Messler, Raymond Gary Morrow, John Raymond Munson, Mark David Meiskens, Jason Kyle Richburg, Donald Allen Rice, Fernando Lopez Roxo, Jr., Adam C. Sant, Richard Bruce Steinhauer, Greg Richard Williams, Christopher Randall Whitrick, will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. Matt Shanna Lee Benton, Senior Class Council Vice President. Second Lieutenant Michael R. Brunschweiler. Second Lieutenant John Leonard Chapla. Reginald Franklin Clark. Abdullah Fauzi Galayini. Mark Claude Hogan, Senior Class Council President. Mark Christopher Hunt. Second Lieutenant Matthew Scott Kuhn. Daniel James LaRoe. Second Lieutenant Scott D. McIver. Cesar A. Mendoza. David Allen Nagy. Jason R. Rice, Tall Alpha Pi. Eric John Marina Scardufa. Daniel Siegel. Dennis Ronald Stewart. Shabal Tamjidi. William Ben Thompson. Elena Michelle Trawl. Janice Diane Turner, Senior Class Council. James Lumont Vire, Senior Class Council. James E. Weisheit. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Technology. Cornelius Gerard Boss. Richard Winton Boyd III. Stephen H. Brady. Stephen Miles Burnett, Senior Class Council. Wayne Anthony Campbell. David Manuel Sinaro, cum laude. Mark Allen Danner. Daniel Paul Evans. Clifton Edward Gee. Robert Hanson. Harold Helgeson. Kenneth Michael Jenkins. Robert John Kovacs. John Michael Krupskis. Jerome Christopher McCavitt. Charles Edward Robinson, Jr. Second Lieutenant Henry Stanley Soughton, Jr. Thomas Patrick Schneider. John Ramsey Shields, cum laude. Daniel Vega, Jr. Second Lieutenant John Kenneth Wolf, cum laude. Robert E. Young, III. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Avionics Engineering Technology. Richard C. Chamberlain. Kevin Christopher Dasher. Scott Michael Duganick. James Paul Garozzo, Avionics Engineering Technology Honor Society, Tau Alpha Pi. Gail Lynn Gertis. Jagun Lee, Avionics Engineering Technology Honor Society. Andrew Thomas Pratz. John Henry Snyder, Jr. William Herbert Wiles, Senior Class Counsel. Dr. Shiv Agarwal, Chair of the Physical Sciences Department, will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Engineering Physics. David Lynn Ackles. Richard Franklin Bailey, Jr. Scott J. Burton. Christopher Wayne Edwards. Aaron Farrer, G. Joan Elizabeth Henricks, Who's Who, 1991-1992, Senior Class Counsel, Omicron Delta Kappa. William Andrew Hilburn. Wendy Ratna Sari Jogasur Surya, Who's Who, 1992. Jennifer Kimball. Brian Edward Rodley. Thomas Eiler Sims IV. Jason Ellerman Walker. Brian Scott Wolf. This concludes the undergraduates from the Daytona Beach campus.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'm pleased to introduce the Dean of Academics for the College of Continuing Education, Dr. Leon Fletcher.
Ladies and gentlemen, the College of Continuing Education oversees residence centers in the United States and throughout the world. We're very pleased to have a number of our students and faculty here today to participate with the Daytona Beach campus in their commencement ceremonies. Mr. President, The faculty of the College of Continuing Education are pleased to present the candidates for degrees. The candidates will now receive their diplomas.
Dr. Robert Houston, Chair of the Aeronautical Science Department for the College of Continuing Education, will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Professional Aeronautics. Randall D. Anderson, Key West. Janet M. Baker, Department of Independent Studies. Richard Timothy Beebe, Rhine, Maine. Michael Ray Brinkman, Department of Independent Studies. Gregory T. Carter, MacDill Air Force Base, magna cum laude. Richard Allen Citrino, Jr., Department of Independent Studies. Thomas Joseph Cola, Fort Lauderdale. Derek Carl Day, Department of Independent Studies. Grisha M. Denmark, Cecil Field, Florida. Francisco Leonardo Gonzalez, Patrick Air Force Base. George Robert Hawk, Tyndall Air Force Base. Akram Ulibad Khan, Miami, Florida, cum laude. Andre Lee McGee, Andrews Air Force Base. Kenneth C. Nickerson, Fairchild Air Force Base, cum laude. Antonia Ojikwe, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Frank D. Pacelli, Portugal. Cecilia Silyanji. David F. Snook, Cecil Field, Florida, cum laude. Hector Torres, Cecil Field, Florida. Edward L. Watson, Miami, Florida. Robert Charles Witter, Fort Campbell. Jeffrey Carl Zabalski, Tyndall Air Force Base. Dr. Vance Mitchell, Chair of Aviation Business Administration for the College of Continuing Education, will present the diplomas to the candidates from his department. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Business Administration. Sherry K. Fry, Norfolk, NAS. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Management of Technical Operations. Michelle Zabalski, Tyndall Air Force Base, cum laude. This now concludes the undergraduate portion of the ceremony.
President Sliwa, the faculty of the graduate school are pleased to present the candidates for degree. Dr. Robert Hall, Dean of the U.S. Division of the College of Continuing Education, will assist me in handing out the diplomas. The master's hoods which candidates are wearing were awarded at a ceremony earlier this morning so that they could be recognized as graduate candidates. In the classical tradition, Embry-Riddle's hood reflects the school's colors, sky blue and sun gold. The eagles on the gold chevron are symbolic of the unique mission of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. The candidates for master's degree will now receive their diplomas.
Candidates for the degree of Master of Aeronautical Science. Abdul Aziz Yosef Al-Haji. Susan Margaret Burrell. Timothy D. Croft, Barksdale Air Force Base. Khalid Ibrahim Isha. Gregory Lewis Friedman, Tyndall Air Force Base. Macaulay Mangum Funk, Loring Air Force Base. Bruce Edward Gates, Tyndall Air Force Base. Franz Michael Holtzman. John Joseph Ippolito, Patrick Air Force Base. Jeffrey Allen Johnson. Konstantinos Kolothios. Charles L. Lee. James F. Leondike. Steve Allen Marinek, Patrick Air Force Base. Paul Simon Mayer. Umberto R. Pomales, Jr. David Arthur Prestwood. James Franklin Reed, Barksdale Air Force Base. Paul Robert Reynolds. Kenny Lee Rogers, Cincinnati, Ohio. Bernie James Weeb. Doyle Norman Wooten, Fort Rucker. Candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering. Salid Ali Kabani. Andres Juvenal Aparicio. Thomas Michael Ely. Robert Allen Patton. Candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration in Aviation. Donna G. Brubaker, March Air Force Base, California. Michael S. Carroll, Cecil Field. James Arthur Dianto. James Francis Dykes, Jr., Patrick Air Force Base. Robin Jane Glacier, Vice President, Graduate Students Association. Akiko Hayashida. Mark Hugh Ingram. Helena Regina Kennedy, Patrick Air Force Base. And Eten Ollier, Patrick Air Force Base. James Jean LaRock, Patrick Air Force Base. Willett Layton Lee, Fort Knox, Kentucky. Mary LaChantrell Lott Wise, Patrick Air Force Base. Larry J. Richardson, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Lieutenant Blake Edward Salmon, Cecil Field, Florida. Lloyd Crawford Shelton. Roger A. Smith, McClellan Air Force Base. W. Michael Strasser, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Richard James Strollo. Douglas McFadden. Scott Cushman Sweetie, Annapolis, Maryland. Stephen Filene Newberg, Graduate Student Association President. Gregory Scott Thompson. Michael Ray Trevette. Jerry James Verghese, Who's Who 1992. Nicholas Charombalous, Patrick Air Force Base. Candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Technical Management. Craig Scott Diotillo, Patrick Air Force Base. Douglas J. Farrell, Patrick Air Force Base. Christopher Dominic Versora, Patrick Air Force Base. Stanley Ross Green, Patrick Air Force Base. James G. Gregoire, Patrick Air Force Base. Paul J. Guerney, Jr., Patrick Air Force Base. Dennis P. Lombardo, Patrick Air Force Base. Douglas Carl Manuel, Patrick Air Force Base. Monzie Matthews, Patrick Air Force Base. Keith Ray Page, Patrick Air Force Base. Joseph Charles Reynolds, Patrick Air Force Base. Randy Lynn Ryder, Patrick Air Force Base. This now...
Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Bill Nelson, a member of the Embry-Riddle Board of Trustees, will represent the trustees in conferring the degrees on the candidates for graduation. Congressman Nelson, will you join me at the podium? All of the candidates, please rise. Upon the recommendation of the faculty at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, it is my honor to present to you candidates for graduation.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer on you, as appropriate, the associate degree, the associate in science degree, the bachelor's degree, the Bachelor of Science degree, the master's degree, and the Master of Science degree, with all of the rights, privileges, honors, and responsibilities thereto appertaining. Congratulations, graduates. You may now turn your tassel right to left.
Congratulations. Take your seats, please. Will you join us at the podium for the conferring of the honorary degree, please?
Will Jake Garn please come forward? Jake's 3 terms in the United States Senate. He's led quite a career. For this person, yours truly, as a former member of Congress, Jake was a mentor to me. Jake was selected to fly in the space shuttle, and when I was selected to train, we spent long hours where I learned from his experience. We shared the experience of tragedy together when just 10 days after our flight, STS-61C, returned to Earth, the spaceship Challenger exploded. And Jake and I had to go to work as the respective chairman, he in the Senate and me in the House, to try to help assure this nation of a future vigorous and robust space program. Now, he has served with great distinction. He's tirelessly promoted the benefits of aeronautics and space exploration. And as you heard today, Jake is an aviator of some considerable distinction. He's had a military and commercial flying career characterized by vast experience and first-hand knowledge. And then when he flew in STS-51D on the spaceship Discovery, he conducted a number of medical experiments while he orbited this spaceship Earth 109 times. And because of that experience that he brought to bear in the political cauldron in Washington, he has broadened this nation's commitment to explore this harsh environment out there. And yet he has shared with us the sense of sheer obligation that we have as explorers and adventurers to adventure out. Just recently, when Jake was awarded that very prestigious Wright Brothers Memorial Trophy, he was recognized for this lifetime of achievement. There are personal items that you don't know about Jake, and I'd like to tell you just one. After he had flown, Jake didn't have to do this, but his daughter was dying of kidney failure from severe diabetes. And Jake Garn, the explorer, the pioneer, then stepped forward as the father and donated one of his kidneys to his daughter. So this is the kind of man that we honor today, and for that extraordinary statesmanship, we at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University are honored to award this honorary doctorate to Jake Garn. Senator Garn, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, and on the recommendation of the faculty, I hereby confer on you the degree of Doctor of Aeronautical Science, honoris causa, with all of the rights, privileges, honors, and responsibilities appertaining thereto. Congratulations, Jake.
For your information, the person who is helping us and assisting us with the diplomas is our Director of Registration for the Daytona Beach campus, Mrs. Val Cruz. And the music today has been provided by the Melbourne Municipal Band under the direction of Claire Bristol. The interest, dedication, and support of three groups of people play a very important part in the success of this university: the Board of Trustees, the Board of Visitors, and the officers of the university. Will the members of these groups who are with us today please stand so that we may recognize them? Thank you. There are another group of individuals who have played a major role in preparing the graduates for their future careers, and of course that is the faculty and the staff. Will the faculty and staff please stand and be recognized? And our most honored guests here today are the families of the graduates. You have sacrificed much to get them to this point. We would like you to stand and let us honor you.